3 days that changed everything. It changed everything with Shedeur. He was supposed to go in round one, but he ended up going in round five. And in those 3 days, all kind of negativity happened. But I want to just commend this kid and how positively he reacted to it each and every step, and is still super excited to go up there and compete in Cleveland. So many people say he's entitled and he's arrogant. He hasn't acted that way. And we're going to go over some of his quotes. We're going to go over the Cleveland quarterback room and the teams that passed on him, and just different things that we feel happened during the NFL draft. Thank you so much for tuning in, Heritage Sports Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and put those notification bell on. There were so many places in my heart I wanted to start. I was like, I don't want to do another episode necessarily on this, but so much happened that we didn't cover after day three, and now it's day four of the draft with undrafted free agents signing everywhere. We just had to witness all these things transpire so quickly, rapid, fast. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about and start with is that weak ass prank call that we found out was done by the defensive coordinators, the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinators, spoiled ass, brat ass son, Jax Ulbrich. Okay, his dad is the defensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, current defensive coordinator, whatever. He was with the Jets last year. I believe he's with Atlanta for his first year. He joins Raheem Morris as the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. Jeff Ulbrich, apparently, according to the Falcons statement, which we'll get to in a second, left his iPad unlocked and open, and his brat ass kid again came by, took the number down, and then helped facilitate a prank call to Shedeur when the Saints were on the clock, whenever that was in day two, when they ended up taking a quarterback out of Louisville. And I just don't understand the motivation on why you would do something like that, and why you would post it on social media and incriminate yourself really, really fast, because everyone knew who it was. The internet's like, no, this Jeff's son. We all know who that kid is. He is a D3 football player that will never, ever have the opportunity to get drafted unless there's some kind of nepotism. Maybe his dad will get a job, and then nobody will say a thing to him. They'll say things about Deion, but not him. And he decided to mess with this young man's dream. These kids have sacrificed all their lives for this moment, and he tried to mess with him in that moment. He's not built like that. He doesn't have the talent to be considered for the NFL draft, so he doesn't understand how serious and the pressure that goes into this. And then to put it online where these kids live on social media, thank goodness Shedeur is a mature individual, but to embarrass or try to embarrass him online with this ridiculous prank is stupid. And by the way, you choose the best Falcons player in history, his son. Your best player in franchise history is Deion Sanders. He's in the Hall of Fame, I believe, as a Falcon. And you decide to prank call his son. For me, the Atlanta Falcons put out a statement, but for me, I would have been a little bit more fierceful on this one. Like, I get it, Jeff. Maybe this is not something you wanted, but this is your F up, buddy. Okay? So your child's not in a facility anymore, and maybe you're not either. But that's not my call. So let's just start with the prank call. The prank call happened. Again, he facilitated a call with one of his friends, apparently. They acted like he was the Saints manager, and they called Shedeur on a specific private number he gave to NFL teams, and that got out. So the Atlanta Falcons put out a statement. It said early in the week, Jax, the 21 brat ass son, I'm sorry, I didn't say that, I just had to say that, 21-year-old son of defense coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, unintentionally came across the draft contact phone number for Shedeur Sanders off an open iPad while visiting the parents' home, and wrote the number down to later conduct a prank call. Unintentionally is crazy. Like, bro, it was unintentional. You saw an open iPad, okay, and then he looks at it and he writes a number down. That's not unintentional. That's intentional. He then says Jeff was unaware, whatever. The Atlanta Falcons do not condone this behavior and send sincere apologies to Shedeur Sanders and his family, so on and so forth. They have gotten together with Jax and Shedeur to facilitate an official apology, which he put out. I'll read his weak ass apology in a second. But again, your best player in franchise history has a son that is draft grade eligible, that is now going in the later rounds. He's slipping, and throughout all this pressure, you decide to wait till a quarterback needy team, very intentionally wait till a quarterback needy team is on the clock just to call Shedeur and to see him answer the phone and then say some just nonsense. What do you get out of that? You're an idiot. And what's the next thing? I understand other actual draftees in this draft got prank phone calls. Tyler Warren, I believe his name, really, really talented kid out of Penn State, received a prank call. And maybe another gentleman, I can't remember his name. But with Tyler Warren, very, very, very talented kid, very tight end. He's a tight end, very talented, can play different positions up there in Penn State, had a great year. But with all due respect, his dad's not the best player in Atlanta Falcons history. So I get it. It happened to other people, but it's just this particular franchise. That shouldn't happen. So Jax put out a statement. He said he made a tremendous mistake. He is completely inexcusable, so on and so forth. Selfish. It's a terrible mistake. Thank you for accepting my call. I just want to make sure I emphasize this. Thank you for accepting my call earlier today. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And you look at Shedeur's comments. He said it in the actual, on his live stream, how he just had to shake it off. And I'll read it. It didn't really have an impact on me because it was just like, okay, like I don't feed into negativity or I don't feed into that stuff. You see Deion's YouTube video, my reaction to it, I don't. It is what it is. I think, of course, it is childish. Of course, I feel like it is a childish act or was a childish act. But everybody does childish things here and there. That was amazing. You go back and look at that clip again. He moves on. He just like, okay, it's a prank call, whatever. He didn't slow down. He didn't curse somebody out. He just said whatever and moved on. He got asked about it afterwards. He said, hey, everybody makes mistakes. He, even in his most stressful moment, he decides to be gracious to this idiot. That's who he is. And he also, one thing I want to say that really impressed me, I'm not going to put his tweet up, I'm just going to say it from my heart. When he was in the middle of sliding, day 1, day 2, deep into the rounds, he kept getting passed over. He thanked God. That lets me know everything about him. He still praised God in his most stressful moments because he didn't anticipate that, and he still pointed up. And even when he got drafted, he's still gracious. That's the type of makeup he's made out of. And I don't care what anybody says. He's a fantastic Christian, and he's holding up the right regard in this situation, and then showing grace to people because he knows he's not always right. And even in his most stressful day where he's supposed to be happy, he's supposed to be drafted in round 1, he's still shaking it off. But all right, let's move on. With his slide, he has lost approximately $40 million. That's what people are quoting Sports Illustrated. He's going to be on a 4-year contract. The 5th round pick at that position is typically $1 million a year up there in Cleveland, Ohio. And unfortunately, he has to pay state tax on that as well. Luckily, he has a lot of different endorsements. He announced with Gatorade, just did a Delta commercial. So he's going to be just fine. The NIL money came in handy. I think that it's going to end up being a blessing to him. You mentioned people, and I'm not saying, I'm not talking about situations on why this person slid, but Lael Collins was a LSU left tackle a few years back. He was supposed to be a high draft pick, and he dropped out. He didn't get drafted. He went undrafted. He played on a 3-year contract, according to the CBA, for the rookie wage scale. They ended up having to pay him big money, big money, and more than anticipated because he was on a shorter contract. If Shedeur would have went in round 1, he would have been relegated to a 4-year contract with a year option of the club. So theoretically, he could be under a 5-year contract. With this, he's going to be under a 4-year contract no matter what. If he does well or he performs well, he's going to be a great trading chip. And he legitimately, if he gets in the right system, you can't tell me he can't be a Dak or Jalen Hurts or someone like that. Not the biggest arm, but still in line to have the biggest contract in NFL history. You can't say that it can't happen because we've seen it happen over and over again. Now I want to talk about the draft process in itself. I mean, it did seem like an owner's pick. I mean, no matter what they say, they picked Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round or 4th round before Shedeur. You can't tell me that you wanted to go in and draft 2 quarterbacks. The GM, Andrew Berry, went on and on saying we saw that as a deal. We saw that as a steal, 5th round pick. With his talent grade, we thought he wouldn't slide that far. At that point, you got to take the best available. I can understand that, but if you have a high grade on a kid in 3rd round to draft him, and I'm not going to put down Dylan Gabriel. He's played a lot of football. He may be an undersized kid, but he's very comfortable running different systems at different major programs, and he has some athleticism. So I can see why they not necessarily liked him more than Shedeur, but it's reasonable why they targeted him and drafted him. Okay, fine. That's your quarterback. But you can't tell me you're excited to draft a second quarterback instead of filling out your team. Because at that point, it seems like an owner's pick. And honestly, I think Coach Prime called in a favor. The quarterback coach at Cleveland is the Bill Musgraves. I'm going to let Deion tell this story right now.
My favorite Super Bowl memory is a guy named Billy Musgrave, who was our scout team quarterback. Great player on his own right, but he played on scout. We had Steve Young, NFL offensive MVP. Billy worked his butt off, prepared us, really got us right. But he never played because of Steve Young. So during the Super Bowl, we're kicking San Diego's butt. And I go to George Seifert and I say, put Billy in. And he looked at me like, I said, no, man, put Billy in. And he put Billy in. And Billy got to throw a pass and Billy got to play in the Super Bowl. And
when you have relationships like that, where this guy helped our Super Bowl run, and I made sure I advocated for this person to get into the Super Bowl, that's a relationship that lasts the length of time. And if you need a quarterbacks coach that's not only going to give you inside information, but more importantly, in the war room for the NFL draft, pound the table to say, no, this is the kid we need to bring into our quarterback room, no matter if it's packed or not, plus the owner stepping in, I just think it's very logical. So for this round 1 quarterback to slide all the way to round 5, and I talk about it in my last video on why we think it is, Coach Prime had to call in the favor, plus the public outcry. You got the current administration weighing in on it, and you have it just staring in your face. Like, this kid should not be in the 5th round. The Philadelphia Eagles were probably going to take him to back up Jalen Hurts, and now all of a sudden Cleveland wants to act right. The owner had to step in, and you could tell from the picture or the video, none of the room was happy. They felt like they were okay with quarterbacks, but we're going to see. Like I said, he has a great opportunity. There's Kenny Pickett up there. There's Joe Flacco. There's Dylan Gabriel. Now there's Shedeur. And now there is Deshaun Watson. We know Deshaun Watson's not playing, so that's 4 guys. We don't know what's going to happen with Pittsburgh. And again, I think Pittsburgh is committed malpractice to its fans, and I don't say that lightly. I really do think that for them to wait till the 6th round to get somebody like Will Howard, who has shown ability, but he's not an NFL starter. The only NFL starter that late could have been Shedeur for them. And now they're banking on Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think that's the game you want to get into. But hey, it is what it is. I do know Cleveland has a horde of quarterbacks. Somebody gets hurt throughout the year. If they carry 4 quarterbacks, I think they'll be in a good position to trade someone and have a good value. And I don't think it's the 2 new guys. I think it's Joe or Kenny Pickett at that point. But we'll see how the season goes. I think it depends on the system they want to run. I think Joe Flacco's shown he's still accurate in his age. I haven't seen a lot of Kenny Pickett because to me he hasn't played that much. When he did play at Pittsburgh, they hit him, they ran the football, and he threw whenever. And I don't think he set the world on fire. That's why he ended up going to Philly of all places. So I don't know how accurate he is. He's going to have to show it. Like I said, Dylan Gabriel really ran offenses at different programs, Oregon, Oklahoma. So I know he can play, and I know he had another school is escaping me, but I know he can play and run in an NFL style system or pro style system. That's no problem. But Shedeur is to me the most polished guy. The Stefanski system. You know, if you got Jameis Winston out there winning games, not that many, but winning, he's not a runner. He relies on accuracy. Even though he's an interception, Jameis Winston throws more interceptions than you want, but he still relies on his accuracy, and I think that fits Shedeur's skill set. I think he's going to be able to come in. I don't know about starting because it's a pack room. You know, you got a lot of competition. I don't think they're going to bring in another quarterback, a free agent, or a undrafted free agent out of college, or somebody on a practice squad. I legitimately think it'll be. I don't think they're carrying four on. I don't think they're going to carry four on each game, but we'll see how it works out. But Shedeur has a really good opportunity to develop under a good coach. I just don't think they wanted him in the room, and that's the problem. Will they sabotage him? I really hope that doesn't happen. All right, let me just wrap up with saying, no matter what somebody says about Shedeur, he has handled this in such a great way. When people are upset around him, you saw it in the live stream. When people were saying things that this should happen or that should happen, he still, thank God, he still was focused. He still said, "This idiot that prank called me, it's all right. They do childish things." Shedeur showed me everything that you want out of a young man, and I'm proud of him. I applaud him, and let me tell you, I've never thought about being a Cleveland Brown fan in my life, but if he's playing, if he's on the team, I know I'm going to be rooting for them. Heritage Sports.